So I saw Drinker release a video, and then I was like, oh, Asmon reacted to the video that the Critical Drinker made. So I was like, okay, well, like, it's reactception, right? I appreciate Asmon putting his camera on the left so I can have mine on the right, you know? He did that for me specifically. And so they're making a new movie. With this movie, I think the main reason why they're making it is because they're going to lose the rights if they don't. I'm pretty sure. I think I read that somewhere where they have to make something every so often, or else they're gonna, or have something in the works. That's why Rings of Power was made, and you know, they're gonna keep making stuff. Eventually they're gonna run out of ideas, but it doesn't matter, because they're just gonna throw something together. They're gonna throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks. And they have to, because if they don't, they could lose their licensing. You don't want to do that. You don't want to lose that. So they're making another one. And guess who's going to be in the writer's booth with this? This is going to be very funny.
In the year 2001, 2002.
So I got to eat my apples, man. I got to stay healthy a little bit.
My parents went to see Lord of the Rings in movie theaters on Christmas Day.
That's actually goated. W parents. I was too young to see Lord of the, or even like if I would have saw Lord of the Rings when I was a kid, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it. I was like too young. So I saw Lord of the Rings for the very first time. First time I ever saw Lord of the, I might be a little too loud, my bad. My first time seeing Lord of the Rings was actually with my fiance not too long ago, earlier this year. So this year there was it was like a 25th anniversary of Lord of the Rings, and they were playing all three movies in the theaters, the extended versions, right? So Friday they played the first one, and then like Saturday played the next one, and then Sunday they played the last one, like Return of the King, right? So I have always been someone who like had watched it, but I was watching it in the background, like, right, like my mom was a Lord of the Rings fan, so I never really paid attention too much to it. So when I heard this was coming out, I'm like, all right, bet, I'm taking you. I told her, I was like, yo, we're about to go see this, and we gotta lock in, because each movie is 4 hours. The Return of the King was 4.5 hours long. Dude, it was amazing. It was a blast. I enjoyed it way more than she did, but she still had fun, I think. And it was so fun. And we just like sat there. We were in the movie theaters all weekend. It was like a full-time job. It was so funny, but I don't regret it. It was very fun. Very long movies. There was a dude next to us in Return of the King, and this dude, he comes in here, he paid money to take a nap. He's in there like, and then we're looking at him. I'm like, ah, man, this guy gotta wake up. He's snoring. I'm trying to hear what's going on. He's snoring like crazy. He had an extra large popcorn, man. He would wake up every once in a while and just go, right? Like, I don't know how he didn't choke, man. It was crazy. he was trying to keep himself up, but he could not hang. Yeah, but he just went in there to take a nap.
Lord of the Rings is my favorite series of all time, by far. Nothing else is even remotely close. And now, you know, Rings of Power wasn't enough. You know, they haven't humiliated us enough. They haven't done enough race
I heard
swaps.
Rings of Power was bad.
Enough, like fucking narrative shifts. Now, Stephen Colbert is going to be writing the new Lord of the Rings. Stephen Colbert is a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. If there's anything that Stephen Colbert could theoretically do correctly, it would be Lord of the Rings. But man, he sure hasn't done a lot correctly recently, hasn't he?
They say that those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
And looking at how Hollywood has treated the Lord
It
of the
doesn't
Rings
really
over
matter
the
how
past
much of a
couple
fan
of
you are or
decades,
something.
I can't help but think there's a
If
grain of truth in that.
you can't write.
Just like Star Wars before it, it all began with the classic original trilogy, born from a sublime blend of inspired writing, technical skill, and timeless themes of heroism and adventure, followed by an overblown and underwhelming trilogy of prequels made by the same people, just older and lamer now, that failed to recapture the magic of the originals. And finally,
I will never forget. My mom and I would watch Lord of the Rings together. My mom and I watched Lord of the Rings together. I'm not even kidding you guys. Probably 300 times. Like one of the movies. Most of the time, the first one. And I remember her at the movie theater for The Hobbit. She was like this. And it was like during like the barrel scene, and she's like this.
I've never seen The Hobbit. Yup. Exactly. People, you just can't hang. I mean, I'm sure The Hobbit was nowhere near as good as Lord of the Rings.
Out.
To go off of like what Drinker is saying, so he's talking about the prequels that didn't capture the magic of the originals, and he's not wrong, but it's just so funny to look back at it now, where when the prequels were coming out, everyone was dogpiling on it, everyone hated it, nobody liked it, and then you have people now who are very, very fond of the prequels, and they like them. I think it's more of like a nostalgic thing, right? The people who watched the original trilogy grew up like in a completely different world than the people who grew up watching the prequels. When I was a kid, the prequels were the new thing that was coming out. But when like my dad was a kid, it was Star Wars. The originals, those were what people were bonded to. So when the prequels were coming out, it's like, oh, we don't like this metachlorian nonsense. Oh, we don't like this. We don't like that. We don't like this character. Oh my goodness, like Anakin won't stop talking about sand and how it gets everywhere. Like, I agree with him. Sand gets everywhere. But now we have like an appreciation for it as like younger Star Wars fans who grew up with the prequels are kind of now very fond of that era, even though originally when they first were coming out, people did not like them like at all. I think there might be a small section of people like who are growing up now and they grew up with the sequel trilogy, and they might come to look back on the sequel trilogy as like, oh yeah, well, they weren't that bad. Those movies were actually, what am I saying? No, the sequel trilogy was horrible. I don't know how I don't know how anyone is going to look back and think that they were great additions. They weren't. Unfortunate.
Decades later, with money-hungry studios desperate to squeeze a bit more money out of old IPs before the actors get too old or die, we come at last to the end game.
Lord of the Rings.
Make it city!
We already saw it with Rings of Power,
We did.
Amazon's cringy attempt to compensate for a lack of artistic merit and creative ability with embarrassing amounts of money.
I just heard it was
and let's
bad.
be honest, you don't need me to tell you what a fucking train wreck that turned out to be. It's great for us content creators though.
It is.
But
great.
even stranger things are afoot at Warner Brothers, arguably the dumbest studio in Hollywood with a massive catalogue of IPs that they somehow managed to fumble time and time again.
Isn't it crazy that they did that back in the early 2000s? Like the fact that it still looks good.
The level of quality that Lord of the Rings had was actually amazing. How they achieved what they did with like the constraints of the time. It was insane, man. They did so much and everything about it looked great when I went to go see it. The only thing that was different was like the only thing I remember looking even remotely out of place was Gollum a little bit. He looked like a little slime ball, man. But other than that, everything was basically perfect. It was great. The Ents, I was just thinking to myself like, wow, how did they make this look so good? They made for those of you who actually no one's ever seen this, but there was an attempt at making an Attack on Titan live action. The Lord of the Rings Ents look way better. The Ents look way better than the Titans did in that live action Attack on Titan movie. It was so jarring. No one actually watched it. I just saw clips of it. No one actually wanted to watch that.
Even now, that's just insane. Like, even if you freeze it, like, it still looks good.
Time again.
Yeah, look at that, man.
The War of the Rohirrim. Remember that? No.
I didn't watch that because I found out there was a girl as the main character. I said, pfft.
Yeah, you can't watch those.
Really? Like, I mean, really?
Me neither.
You know what's funny? This trailer played when we went to go see the movie, and I was like, huh, maybe I'll go see it. And then we watched the movie, and I forgot all about it.
Animated movie that was shorted out as quickly as possible so that Warner could retain the film rights to the franchise, which probably explains why more than 50 different animation studios were pulled in to get it finished in time, and why it looks janky as fuck. It was billed as the story of legendary warrior Helm Hammerhand in his last stand at the fortress of Helm's Deep, but really it was all just a bait and switch to focus on his daughter Hera, a character
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
That gets mentioned in like one sentence of the original appendices and was so unimportant that Tolkien didn't even bother giving her a name. And this guy names fucking everything. And of course, she turns out to be the usual generic invincible girl boss who beats everyone and wins everything because...
Of course. I love the fact that I totally stereotyped the show. I was completely biased, and I was completely right.
If you are stereotyping the show,
but it's okay because nobody
you're almost always right anyway, when it comes to these people because they only think. So these people, when they make shows like this, and not to tell a good story, but to like, basically if they're trying to just push a message or whatever, these people do not think for themselves or their own mind. So it's easy to stereotype them because they only think in stereotypes. So if you have a stereotype about them and then you think that, it's probably true. And it's so funny to watch in real time because then you'll see these people sometimes embody the stereotype that they claim to hate. And it's like, oh, but you're doing it. You're doing it right now. Like,
announcement of The Hunt for Gollum, a prequel about Aragorn's quest to track down and capture Gollum sometime after Bilbo took the ring from him.
Right.
A tiny fragment of the original book where everyone knows the outcome already that was summarized in like 2 paragraphs at the Council of Elrond's. Like, why? Who the fuck even asked for this? How do you expect the original actors to reprise their roles when they're all 20 years older now? Why is Andy...
Exactly, yeah, it's weird. Like, I even felt that way about Better Call Saul. It's just weird. You're right.
You know, I never saw Breaking Bad. That's on my list. And Better Call Saul, never saw those. I heard they were good, though.
Directing it. I mean, I've seen his body of work as a director, and it's not impressive. When I think about all the incredible side stories...
2001, bro. 2001. Insane. Crazy. Generational.
Side stories,
look at that.
Tales of forgotten heroism, tragic love, and bitter betrayal that you could tell in the Lord of the Rings universe. Why go for something as goofy and pointless as this? Anyway, I've dodged it long enough. Let's get this over with, shall we?
The Better Call Saul was good? I didn't say it wasn't good.
No, was it?
No, just like McCoy here, it's time to face my deepest pain. Last night, Peter Jackson took to the internet to announce yet another Lord of the Rings film project that nobody asked for or wanted. And this is when shit truly got real.
Oh, actually, why don't I get somebody else to explain it? Because we've got a very special partner that we're working.
It was pretty cool seeing the 25th thing for this. Like, Peter Jackson actually made videos for each movie. So before the movie started, he was making a video just talking about the process of making the movie, and just talked about like the hardships or whatever, the roadblocks they ran into while making the movie, and like different scenes and stuff. It was pretty cool. He was yapping for a long time though. I ain't gonna lie. People were falling asleep because he was like, he made the movies that were already 4 hours long. He made them like 15 minutes longer because he was talking for like 15 minutes.
With, and you can see for yourself. Hang on. There we go. Hello. Hi, Peter.
It is funny how they planned that out.
Oh God, oh man.
When did he have hair?
The fuck? Why in the name of Sauron's molten arse
God.
pipe would you bring in this tragically unfunny, propaganda-spewing clown to write your multi-million-dollar Lord of the Rings movie?
Man.
A man whose illustrious screenwriting credits include such gems as Strangers with Candy and...
Oh.
Why are we bringing talk show hosts in to write our movies now? Like, is Oprah Winfrey gonna write the next Star Wars movie?
What is his
How about
writing
we-
credentials?
I mean, he knows
How
a
do
lot
we
about
know?
Tolkien. I think it's fine. Like, if the thing is...
Okay, he knows a lot about Tolkien. Fine. I give him that. Bring him in just like as a guy, right? Why is he writing it? The guy has as much writing talent as, like, less writing talent than many other people. So I just don't understand.
Is that I just worry that it's gonna be like, I don't know if it's gonna be gay, right? But like
I worry
it's
that it's not gonna be
gonna
good.
suck. I think it's gonna suck. I do. I think Stephen Colbert lost the juice.
I don't think he
did.
really ever had the juice.
I think
He was
he's
just
lost
there.
the juice. He used
At
to
least
have
for
it.
me.
He used to be that guy. I don't know if he's that guy anymore.
Get Jimmy Kimmel in to do the next Jurassic Park. Actually, that would probably be an improvement at this point, to be honest. Now, in fairness to old Steven here, he is a big Lord of the Rings
is.
nerd, although fuck knows what a guy like him sees in Tolkien's pro-Western, anti-authoritarian story of friendship, loyalty, honor, masculine heroism, and clearly defined morality. But there's a big old difference between knowing
Because
the
at
lore...
the end of the day, he's still a man, and stories like this resonate with men a lot, right? The hero's journey, the taking on this huge responsibility that only you can carry, like, right? This, at the end of the day, stories like that resonate a lot with men, especially like this came out 25 years ago. How old is Colbert? He's in his 50s, right? Or 60s. He was a young guy when Lord of the Rings came out. So who he is today isn't exactly representative of who he was 25 years ago. At least I don't think so. So yeah, I think it makes sense, right? It does make sense that even though he's a left-wing guy, he, at a time in his life especially when he was younger, this story really spoke to him as it did millions of other people.
of a fictional world and actually writing a good story with it. Just ask
It's a
Ryan
huge
Johnson. Then there's his politics, of which there are many. Like, remember when Peter Jackson famously said...
How old is he? I'm
We
gonna look it up.
didn't want to put any of our own, certainly in terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in...
Exactly. Because there's a reason why the person that probably got paid the most money for this movie is a guy that's dead that just
He's
wrote the book.
61.
Like, that's... Well, exactly, bro. Like, that's... See, thank God. Yeah.
putting our messages
You look pretty
into
good for
this movie.
61.
But we thought that we should honor Tolkien by putting his messages into it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect the
yes.
same attitude from Stephen Colbert, a man so utterly consumed by his hatred of the Orange Man that he drove away his own audience and nuked his talk show. Jesus,
did.
this guy almost makes Mark Hamill look normal.
I'm thinking
The
he's like
problem is,
55.
people like that can literally never let go of their
So he's in
political
his 30s when
hang-ups.
Lord of the Rings
It's
came
impo-
out.
I guarantee.
Still.
I can't guarantee.
What I
but
said
like,
still
I find
applies.
that there's a very high probability that it's going to suck because of that.
Possible
gonna
because
have
it
some
becomes
bullshit.
bound up.
I
in
think
the
it's
very
gonna suck
core
just
of
because
who they
there's-
are.
Yeah.
It seeps into everything.
I think it's gonna suck mainly because there's just no reason. There's no rhyme or reason to make it other than, hey, we want to keep the rights. Hey, we just want to make some money real quick. But there's really no reason to make it, unfortunately. I don't think they have a, like, I don't think they believe, I think they believe they have a story worth telling. But I don't think the audience believes that they have a story worth telling.
Thing they say and do, and if he's allowed to write a script for Lord of the Rings, well, I think you can imagine who Sauron is going to become a clumsy.
If they do that, that would be hilarious.
We're gonna make
Honestly.
Mordor great again.
Make Mordor great
allegory for.
again.
Speaking of which, let us review the outline of this epic
biggest
saga
fear,
in
yeah.
the making, shall we? As per the report from Deadline News, The Lord of the Rings: Shadow of the Past is set 14 years after the passing of Frodo.
Wow.
Sam, Merry, and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter Eleanor has discovered a long-buried
I think that it.
Okay. Shadow of the Past. Set 14 years after the passing of Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter, Eleanor, has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the War of the Ring was very nearly lost before it even began. I think this script is lost before it even began. They don't have a story worth telling, and I guess he kind of predicted that they were gonna move over the main cast and say, oh, this new character is gonna take over because this is supposed to be Sam's daughter, Eleanor. Okay, we'll see how this goes.
Secret, and is determined to uncover why the War of the Ring was very nearly lost before it even began.
I missed my trash can.
Tell you what, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you 3 guesses about who the real protagonist of this movie turns out to be, and here's a little hint to get you started. It's not going to be Sam, Merry, or Pippin.
What a surprise.
Girls get it done.
You know,
Man.
it's so fucking funny when life literally becomes the meme. When you can straight up
Life
predict
imitates art, guys, not the other way around.
exactly what's going to happen from like 10 nautical miles away, and it still does. Like, if I was to predict what Hollywood writers would do if they were asked to write a sequel to Lord of the Rings, it would basically be this. Defrost the original cast and have them come back playing older, pussified versions of their characters.
Nope, my bad.
Who learn the true meaning of adventure from a younger, more diverse, more female replacement that doesn't just outshine them in every way possible, but also makes them realize they were never really that heroic in the first place.
Man.
To make it shitty.
In fact, screw it, we might as well race swap a legacy character like Aragorn while we're at it. I mean, I know Hollywood desperately wants to do it. It's a battle we're gonna fight and lose sooner or later.
Did they race
so we
swap
might as
him in
well get
Magic
it
the
over with
Gathering?
now.
What? Did they? Why would they do that? I gotta look this up now.
No,
I think that, like, again, the moment that I see a race swap that's done in a story, I just usually assume the story's gonna be garbage. I do. And, like, I make exceptions for, like, S-tier actors and, like, really well-known actors. Like, I think they had Lawrence Fishburne play fucking...
They did.
What's his name? Regis?
Hold on. Sorry, real quick. They did. Does this look like Aragorn to you? Who is that? Who's that guy? Who is that? What?
In Witcher. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But, like, 99% of them... bro, like, I don't know. Somebody says Gandalf the Black.
Not only does this crap remind me of the historical enshittification of Star Wars, but I also can't help thinking of James Gunn's DCU by James Gunn. That guy has access to some of the greatest superhero characters in history. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Nightwing, and instead
I really hope that
exploiting his
Supergirl
biggest assets,
movie is
he
good. I
wastes
hope it's
huge
good.
amounts of time, money, and fan goodwill churning out irrelevant vanity projects like Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, and Clayface. All of this
Never
is to
seen
say
any of
that
those.
I trust Stephen Colbert to make a good Lord of the Rings movie about as much as I'd trust Movie Bob with my birthday cake. And the sad realization here is, this shit's never gonna stop, is it? For a long time, it really felt like Hollywood was...
It eventually will. I think it's on its way out. I think it's obviously on its way out because the thing is that these shows that are coming out are failing. They are. They're massive.
think so. The problem with that is, I think he's right, but I think it's not going to happen very, very fast. It's a gradual thing, right? It'll stop once they're tired of losing money. Yeah, then it'll stop. But until they're tired of losing money, it's not going to stop. And the people who are writing these things and are putting these things in here are still convincing the producers and the people who are actually putting their money on the line for this that what they're putting in these stories is a good idea. And until like they realize like, oh, this stuff isn't a good idea and it's just gonna flop, this stuff is gonna keep happening, especially when you have characters like, for example, characters like Spider-Man. Spider-Man is partly owned by Sony, right? I keep looking over here because that's where the chat is, but the camera's up here. But anyway, Spider-Man, they have to make movies in order to keep the rights to Spider-Man. That is not something that's uncommon in the film industry. In order to keep the rights to the character or a IP, they have to keep making and trudging things out. So I think I don't think it's really going to stop, because even if they're losing money, they think making a bad story and losing money on that story is still better than losing the IP as a whole and having it go back to whatever other creator or company that originally owns it, right? So I think they're still going to choose the lesser of the two evils that they see. It's like, hey, we're gonna make this crappy thing, we'll make a little bit of money. A lot of these things are failing and they're not making as much money as we can, but hopefully we can at least break even and then write it off on our taxes, right? And then we get to keep the characters. I think that's kind of where they're going. And not to mention, the writers themselves probably don't care that much. If like they care more, there are a lot of people who do care more about pushing the message than making a company more money, right? So if they like to add things in there that don't need to be in there, there's always going to be some of that. When you have 100 people working on a project, it's hard to micromanage every little thing. And then when the film gets put together and then they watch it and they're like, oh, that thing slipped through the cracks, that thing slipped through the cracks. But I think it's really going to happen just because they don't want to lose access to these characters. And there is going to be a small subset of like very loyal Lord of the Rings fans who are gonna go watch this because it has the name attached to it. They're just like people went to go see The Hobbit because they knew they enjoyed the first Lord of the Rings, and I think there's gonna be plenty of people who do that again.
Failing, and then meanwhile shows that don't do this kind of stuff are succeeding.
That's true.
And when? I don't
know.
But
a lot of the shows that succeed and not doing this stuff are new, like very creative, very high entertaining things. I think a lot of the reason why this stuff exists, like these remakes and like unnecessary side quest stories, right? Like these spinoffs are existing because it's too hard for them to make their own new IP. Like a lot of companies do not like trying new things, and they don't want, because they feel like trying something new and then creating a new IP is riskier than using the old IP and the name that and the goodwill that that IP produced, and then taking that and then putting it on another, like plastering on the poster, but it's for a different story. But this story takes place in the same world as the story you love, guys. So you need to come see this, because this takes place in the exact same world. It's on the exact same timeline. This is part of the canon story. Well, sometimes you just gotta treat it like it isn't. But we'll see. Kind of like how Disney did with the extended universe of Star Wars. You just throw it in the trash.
Probably, like, it's not going to happen. It's not like there's going to be, okay, we won. There's more black people in movies anymore. That's not what's going to happen, right? But I think that there is going to be a slow recession of this stuff, and I think it's already happening to begin with.
Oh, my bad.
It is, because like the shows fundamentally just aren't making money. They're not making money. That's it.
Smart enough or just scared enough not to mess with Lord of the Rings and just appreciate a job well done. That time, however, has long since passed, and I can't help thinking that Lord of the Rings is rapidly becoming the new Star Wars. Just another convenient IP to be strip-mined until there's nothing left. And the more crap like this that gets churned out, the more it slowly tarnishes the legacy of Tolkien's masterpiece. We'll always have the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, well, until they remake it for modern audiences. But the time—
I won't care. I won't give a shit. Like, the thing is that I've always looked at, like, I even saw Shadow of Mordor this way. I looked at it as fan fiction. Like, it's just a
you just act like it doesn't exist, really. You know,
it's not the real stuff.
It's not canon. Doesn't matter.
You know, like, you can't go on DeviantArt and then get mad that they have like a picture of Sonic the Hedgehog driving around in a car. Like, who gives a shit? Doesn't matter. But at the same time, you know, I wish we had good stuff too. I do. Shadow of Mordor was actually good though. I know that, but I still viewed it as fan fiction. I still did.
When we could actually do justice to Tolkien's work has long since passed, and somehow I don't think
sometimes you just gotta
Colbert is going to bring it back.
Act like it doesn't really exist.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Very good video. Drinker makes great videos, honestly. He's a cool dude. He seems like a cool dude.
I've never met him, show or adaptation in like the next 10 years. I think is 0% chance. I'm going to link you guys.
Sorry, what are you saying?
Adaptation. I think that there is a 0% chance that they make a good Lord of the Rings show or adaptation in like the next 10 years.
Oh.
I think it's 0% chance. I'm going to link you guys the video. Like,
Zero?
I mean, this way, like,
I think it's above 0, but I don't think it's likely. Like, I don't think it's very likely at all. So that was that video, and it's a sad state. It just seems like everything that we love, they have to make more of it, and then it will never be as good as the thing we loved, and that's the sad part about it. Sometimes it will be, I guess, but not in this case.